What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another search engine optimization tip video. In today's tip video, I'll be walking through 301 redirects, why you should use them, and how they can benefit your SEO for your website. So in a nutshell, a 301 redirect basically will transfer users and search engines from an old URL to a new destination URL. So when you point, let's say, URL A to URL B, users and search engines won't be able to access the content on URL A, and it will point them and direct them to the content or the page that's on URL B. So there are a couple of reasons why you would want to implement 301 redirects for your website pages. The first one is if you're looking to consolidate information. So let's say you have multiple pages on your website that all talk about the same copy or the same topic or content, then you may want to consolidate all of these pages into a single source. So just as an example, with Ahrefs and their SEO basics guide, it's a very long and informative piece. I'm sure as they were building out the blog, they created a bunch of other articles talking about SEO that were duplicative. And so they most likely consolidated all of this information into this amazing single source of truth. And so by consolidating all of this information to one page, you create an even better page than you would have with all of those standalone pieces. And you also avoid what's known as keyword cannibalization. So this occurs when you have multiple pages that rank for the same keyword. And so a solution to keyword cannibalization is to consolidate into a single article. So that way your website ranks even better for that keyword phrase using that one better piece of copy compared to having 5 or 6 different articles targeting that same keyword and basically diluting your keyword rankings. Because when you have keyword cannibalization, all those pages rank worse than they would have if it was consolidated. And so by consolidating, you can rank more effectively compared to having multiple pages targeting the same keyword. Another reason to implement 301 redirects is if you have a lot of 404 pages or broken pages. This is usually not a very good user experience if someone lands on a page and it's broken or there's no content. And so if you're deleting content or deleting pages, then you want to 301 redirect that page to a newer page or somewhere else on your website to keep people in the funnel on your website and navigating and searching longer on your website. Compared to if they were faced with a 404 error, they'd probably back out of your website and go back into the search results and try to find a different website that didn't offer them a 404 error. So when it comes to 301 redirects, there are 2 different directives that people typically implement. There are 301 redirects, and these signal to search engines that this is a permanent redirect. So the old page will permanently direct to the new page. And then there are also 302 redirects. So this signals to search engines that this is a temporary redirect and that the old page is temporarily being redirected to the new page. But the intention is that the redirect will be lifted after some period of time. So an example of when to use a 302 redirect might be, for example, with seasonal content. So with my company, we ran the Super Bowl Squares sweepstakes that was only live for about a month and a half. So we created this microsite for the Rocket Mortgage Super Bowl Squares. And so the next step would be to 302 redirect this page to the Rocket Mortgage website and an accompanying piece. So it's like a 1-to-1 redirect. And then once we run the sweepstakes, potentially next year, then we would lift this 302 redirect. And so Google would still have this URL in its repository. So when we lift that 302 redirect, the rocketmortgagesquares.com domain will continue to pick up where it left off in the rankings. Compared if we did a 301 redirect and signaled that it was permanent, then it would take some time to build back up that domain authority and rank for those keywords that we currently rank for with the domain being live. It's typically best practice to stick with 301 redirects about 95% of the time. But there are some instances in which you would want to use a 302 redirect, and that's one of those instances. So outside of consolidating content and trying to reduce keyword cannibalization, another instance of when you would want to implement a 301 redirect on your website is, again, to get rid of any like 404 errors. And this is commonly an issue for product listings on e-commerce style websites. So if someone were to purchase one of the individual items, this is especially prevalent on like automotive websites where they only have one specific inventory of vehicle, has a specific VIN. So when someone sells, or when an automotive dealer sells a car, then typically a page will result in a 404 error. Then you would want to potentially redirect that user to browse more inventory. So I pulled up an example with Rocket Homes. I know it's not automotive, but if they were to sell out of this home, or this home is sold, then it would disappear from their listings. And so a solution would be to create like a hub page for, similar homes for sale, and then 301 redirect this page, if it were to turn into a 404, into like a hub page showcasing other similar homes for sale. So that way you're still keeping the user in your ecosystem so they can browse more of your inventory. And then you're also getting rid of any 404 errors that would lead to a poor user experience. Just because the more 404 errors that your website has, the worse your organic site health is perceived by Google. And this will lead to a decline in keyword rankings for your website. So you want to make sure that you cut down on the amount of 404 errors that your site is flagging up, just so you can provide that positive signal to Google. So it's pretty much a quick rundown as far as 301 redirects, what they are, and some common cases in which you should implement them. Hopefully you found this tip video to be helpful. If you did, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all for the next search engine optimization tip video.